Slick continues, they are three distinct persons, right? It's one being, but three distinct persons, yet they are all one God. And of course, this stretches the limits of not only human language, but it stretches the limits of our logical thought processes, because we're not used to thinking of a being who could exist simultaneously as one being yet three persons, because we just don't function that way as humans. But we have to keep reminding ourselves that God exists in a category that is outside of human existence. He's other than that. God the being is unique. He's different. He's not quite what we are expecting. Slick continues, each person has a will, can speak and can love, etc. And these are demonstrated in personhood, or these are demonstrations of personhood, right? And we can see this. That's why Yeshua can speak of the Father's will and his own will and things like that. Slick continues, they, speaking of the persons, are in absolute perfect harmony, consisting of one substance. This one substance, the fancy Greek term homoousios, is a phrase that the early church fathers 2,000 years ago had to bring into the argument, because they were trying to combat the errant notion that there really was just one God, the modalistic God who existed wearing three masks. This is one of the very early church heresies that the early church Trinitarians, the church fathers, had to deal with, was this idea that one God wearing just multiple masks. These three persons are in absolute perfect harmony, consistency of one substance. We're not looking at three gods. I might be getting it wrong historically. Was it modalism that came first as a heresy and then tritheism, or was it tritheism that came first and then heresy? Either way, whichever heresy came first in the church, I might have my history backwards there, but either way, what we've come to articulate and what the early church fathers tried to do in their formulation of their creeds and the bringing in extra Greek words that were not actually found in the text and things like that, one substance and things like that, homoousios, and the hypostatic nature of God and the things like that. What they're trying to do is carefully articulate the truth that is portrayed by the language in the Bible, all the while remaining faithful to what God has presented to us as humans, even if it is challenging, even if it stretches our mind, even if in the end we use the phrase Mysterian language, right? We use this mystery that was formerly hidden from humans but now being revealed, such as, for instance, the incarnation and the coming of God to earth in the person of Messiah. This is truths that were formerly hidden to humans, formerly withheld information, but now revealed as the progressive nature of God's revelation unfolded before us. So, perfect harmony between the persons, one substance known as God. Slick continues, they are coeternal, coequal, and copowerful. If any one of the three were removed, there would be no God. So we have to uphold this idea that there's one God who nevertheless in his persons has all of this coeternal, coequal, and copowerful qualities about him. And God would not be God without all of these qualities. If you remove one of those qualities from God, then he ceases to be the God of the Bible. I think we've got enough time to finish this quote from Matt Slick. We've got about 5 minutes left. Let me just read down through this. Most of it's self-explanatory. I don't really have to stop and elaborate. Slick says, Jesus, the Son, is one person with two natures, right? This is the hypostatic union that most of us are familiar with. He has a divine nature and a human nature, and this is called the hypostatic union. And this explains how Jesus can, become tired, how he requires food and nourishment, how he requires sleep and rest, how he would become grieved, how he could become angry, how he could be hung on a tree and bleed and die for us. He was a human. But at the same time, he defeated death because of his divinity, God raised him. He raised himself, right? Notice that paradoxical statement. God raised him and he raised himself, right? He was raised from the dead, and now he sits enthroned at the right hand of the Father, never to die again. He is human, but he is divine. As the Word of God existing at the Father's side and as very God, he enjoys full divinity, the Word of God. But this Word was made flesh and came to earth in the person of Jesus Christ, and therefore he became a human. The Word became a human. The divine Word of God became a human known as Jesus. This is a hypostatic union, fully God and fully human, not 50% and 50% or something like that.